One decision. That's all it took to destroy his life. Not a mistake repeated many times. Not years of bad choices. Just one moment. One choice that couldn't be undone. He wasn't careless. He wasn't desperate. He wasn't stupid. He was normal. Like millions of people watching this right now. He had a routine. Wake up early. Go to work. Come home tired. Repeat. His life wasn't perfect, but it was stable. A steady income, some savings, plans for the future. And that's exactly why the decision felt safe. It started with an opportunity, one that didn't look dangerous at all. In fact, it looked smart, responsible, even necessary. Someone he trusted introduced it to him, not a stranger, not a random ad. A familiar face, a confident voice. They spoke about growth, about timing, about how people who wait always lose, and slowly, doubt faded. At first, he hesitated. Something felt off, not wrong, just unclear. But the pressure was subtle. No one forced him, no one rushed him. They simply said, "This chance won't be here forever." That sentence stayed in his head. He didn't want to miss out. He didn't want to stay behind. He didn't want to be the one who hesitated while others moved forward. So he ignored the warning signs, small details that didn't fully make sense, things he told himself he could figure out later. And then he made the decision. The moment felt empowering, like progress, like control. For a short time, everything seemed fine, even better than before. He felt proud, optimistic, certain he had done the right thing. But problems don't always arrive loudly. Sometimes they whisper, a delay here, an excuse there, small inconsistencies. He noticed them, but ignored them, because admitting doubt and admitting fear, and fear feels worse after you've already committed. Slowly, his savings began to shrink, not all at once, just enough to be uncomfortable. Stress replaced excitement. Sleep became lighter. Thoughts became heavier. He started checking his phone constantly, looking for updates, looking for reassurance. Each day, the silence grew louder. Then came the moment he tried to step back, to reverse the decision. That's when he realized the truth. There was no exit, no protection, no safety net. The decision he believed would improve his life had locked him into a situation he couldn't control. Panic set in, not dramatic panic, quiet panic, the kind that keeps you awake at night. He stopped talking about his plans, stopped sharing updates, stopped answering certain questions. Shame replaced confidence. He didn't want anyone to know, not friends, not family, because explaining it meant admitting he was wrong. Weeks passed, then months. Money was almost gone. Opportunities disappeared. Relationships grew distant. Stress began affecting his health. Headaches, fatigue, constant anxiety. He blamed himself every day, replaying the moment in his mind, the exact second he said yes. If only I had waited. If only I had asked more questions. If only I had trusted my instincts. But regret doesn't change outcomes. Eventually, the truth came out, not because he wanted it to, but because it couldn't be hidden anymore. The reaction wasn't anger, it was disappointment. And that hurt more than anything. Trust was broken, not just with others, but with himself. He had to rebuild from zero, financially, emotionally, mentally. The hardest part wasn't losing money. It was losing belief. Belief in his judgment, belief in his future, belief that he was capable of making the right choices. This story isn't about failure. It's about how easily confidence can turn into a trap, how a single decision made without enough clarity can quietly change the direction of a life. And the most dangerous part? This doesn't happen to bad people. It happens to normal people, hardworking people, hopeful people, people who simply want more from life. One decision, that's all it takes. And once it's made, there is no rewind button. As time passed, even the smallest things in his life began to change. Details he once ignored now felt impossible to escape. The ticking of a clock, the empty glow of his phone screen, the way his heart raced every time a notification appeared. He no longer felt safe. And when a person doesn't feel safe, there is nowhere they can truly rest. He went to work, but his mind was never there. He spoke to people, but he didn't hear them. He smiled, but he didn't feel anything behind it. Everything became automatic, mechanical, empty. Sometimes he stood in front of the mirror. He recognized the face staring back at him, but he didn't recognize the person inside. How did I let this happen? He asked himself. No answer came, because some answers only arrive when it's already too late. At night, sleep refused to stay, and when it came lightly, broken, interrupted. Inside his head, the same moment replayed again and again. That day, that conversation, that exact second, the moment he said yes. What if he had waited just one more day? What if he had asked one more question? What if he had trusted the doubt he felt deep inside? There were no answers, and unanswered questions slowly consume a person from the inside. At some point, the problem stopped being about money. Money was already gone. What truly disappeared was peace. His sense of security vanished. Trust in his own judgment vanished. Trust in his instincts vanished. Now, every decision felt heavy, even the smallest ones. A simple purchase, a basic plan, a normal choice. Each time, he stopped, thought twice, sometimes 3 times, because once you've made a mistake that big, being brave again feels dangerous. The people around him noticed the change. They couldn't explain it, but They felt it. He was quieter, more distant, constantly tired. He smiled anyway, because explaining meant reliving everything, and he wasn't ready for that. One day, alone with his thoughts, he asked himself a question he had been avoiding. How did I really get here? The answer was painful, but clear. A little impatience, too much confidence, too much hope, and not enough pause. No one had warned him loudly, but a voice inside him had spoken. He heard it, and he chose to silence it. Because sometimes we silence the truth when it doesn't align with what we want to believe. Over time, acceptance began to replace anger. Denial faded. Bargaining faded. Only exhaustion remained. But exhaustion is not always the end. Sometimes it's the beginning. When you reach the lowest point, when there's nothing left to lose, that's when real thinking begins. That's what happened to him. He started being honest with himself. No excuses, no blaming others. He admitted the truth. He made a mistake. But that mistake was not his entire identity. That thought was small, but powerful. Because when a person believes they are the mistake, they never stand up again. Slowly, he began to rebuild. Not with big moves, not with dramatic changes, with small, quiet steps. First, structure, then discipline, then patience. He stopped chasing money and started rebuilding himself. Days passed, then weeks, then months. Life never returned to what it was before. But it began moving forward in a different way. He no longer rushed decisions. Everyone is doing it. No longer convinced him. Things that looked easy now raised questions instead of excitement. That one decision destroyed his life as he knew it. But it also taught him something he would never forget. Sometimes the most dangerous decisions are the ones that feel safe